And there we go again. Possibly, I thought maybe I will try and record another little fragment here with a bit of, you know, scenery, countryside and what have you. Let me do a bit of a tour of the view around here, just fields and willow trees and what used to be a regular stream, which is turned into a kind of a canal nowadays. Like most little rivers in the Netherlands, they have been straightened out and sort of the curves have been taken out. The banks are kind of monitored the whole time. There's crows over there yakking away, trying to have a word in, I suppose. What was I going to say? I was going to sort of maybe also for myself to, you know, put it in words. I was going to say the Netherlands is really a river delta. So there's a couple of large rivers that come out into the North Sea, about 100 kilometers away from where I am. And so that entails, right, that if you don't do anything about it, the whole of the country tends to be more or less a marshland, dotted with islands and little bits of sand here and there. And it's all very mobile and flexible, and it doesn't. It's very hard to work with. For some reason, people who lived here in there's a chopper, and there he goes. I don't know what he's doing around here. Something useful, probably. People started first to make parts of the marshland viable by building dikes and extracting the water from within the dike, so you get boulders, right? And all the ground, all the land that was gained in that way was sort of parceled out to farmers. I'm talking about several centuries here. And at some point, I suppose about 200 years ago or so, people sort of felt like there was lots of families had many children. So the business of a farmer was actually needed to be redistributed over his children, and the farmland just became smaller and smaller, which didn't work, of course, because so there was a lot of poverty. And I suppose this mechanism has been quite a motivation for people in the past generations to look at land and earth and nature and the natural resources in a way that's quite different from when you have a situation where there are very few people in a natural surroundings, in a natural context, right? So what we did was a thing called reparcelling, or also known as land consolidation, and the result is this huge flat square or rectangular stretches of land that is treated on a level that's quite close to being industrial, really. And at this moment there aren't any cows here, or I don't know what they would use these fields for really normally. But that is a big difference. I remember being quite, I don't know, confused or discombobulated when I arrived back in the Netherlands, coming from France, where this reparcelling thing has never happened, where you have maybe bits and pieces of fields that are sort of repossessed or consolidated, where people decide that if you give me this piece, then I'll give you that piece, and then we'll both have a bigger, easier to work land surface, right? That's the principle, really. But I had never really lived in close contact with a place that has been so much dominated and restructured by the hand of man. And that's what this looks like. It's just the heritage of, what have we here in this location, at least 50 years, maybe more, where this is the result of what they wanted. And there are a couple of little locations where a brook or a stream like this one would be left to run its own course again nowadays. So the shape becomes more natural. You get, less of this type of thing here. I find it very difficult to live with the idea that I profit from this situation. All people who live in this country profit in their own lives, in their state of affairs, in their economic situation, from a heritage, a long heritage, not only regarding the natural resources, but also the way we used to treat, people in the colonies back in the day, when we still had those. And all that wealth has been accumulated, and once there is a certain level of wealth, you can't get rid of it again. You enter a state of affairs where the bank account is the most important part of your life, for some people at least. And on the other hand, you get security, you get education, you get medical care in all sorts of ways. All sorts of things are provided for by the state, or at least they used to be. They're less obviously in state care these days, because everything is being everything has been privatized, and just same like everywhere else, okay, in Europe or what have you. I remember traveling to Macedonia in what used to be Yugoslavia a couple of years back, and actually feeling a physical sense of shame at the fact that I had I'm not rich. We're not rich. My husband and I, we just make do with what we got, and we live nicely, but it's you have to make budgets and make plans and stuff like that. And we're thrifty kinds of people. I buy everything second hand. Furniture's never new. Clothes are 90% second hand. But from underwear and shoes, I don't think I ever buy new clothes, and so on and so forth. So there's the sun coming out. Can you see him? Yes. But we felt so much richer, and I was aware of a heritage of colonies and the Dutch national what do you call those? The East India Company, trading company back in the day, centuries ago. But all that wealth has gone to the Netherlands and stayed there. And once you have money, it's easy to get more and to work with it, etc. The people in the south of Macedonia, they don't have that. They do have a lot of cultural riches and a lot of interesting fabulous heritage and beautiful temples and churches and Byzantine churches, I should say, with paintings and stuff like that. So but they don't have the bank account. So yeah, maybe there's a potato field right there. And I just realized another thing 5 minutes ago, or probably 10 minutes ago, that the fact that I've been working with energies and the things I've been talking about in a lot of my former videos about consciousness and meditation and inner silence and, what is your own energy and what isn't, and personal sovereignty and all that, that of course all those intentions that I have put out and all that vibration that I've put into my life comes out into my painting work as well now. Maybe pretty obvious, but it wasn't obvious to me until a short while ago, because I kind of realized that I try to incorporate all those things, not consciously, but sort of viscerally into what I do with paint nowadays. So that's a completely different subject, and I'll keep coming back to that. And I'm just still being out in the fields is quite essential to mental and physical well-being, because take a deep breath, and I suppose all I can do is just try to give back a bit of how lucky I have been. There you go. So let me try to zoom in, because there's a little wooden cross there apparently in the distance. Thank you for watching this rambly episode, guys, and see you soon. Bye bye for now.